going to be very interactive because if it's not, you aren't going to get nearly as much out of it. And I think we can really, because what I'm going to teach y'all today, and who in here has been to any of the resume or LinkedIn workshops? Okay, 3. So we're not going to go over really any of the information that's been in there. We're going to go over a little bit, but what we're doing today is learning how to actually build a resume. And I'm not talking about the structure. We're going to go over that really briefly. I'm talking about, so your sentences don't sound like a job description. So your sentences don't get looked over because they're boring. And we're going to get attention-grabbing information to the employers so that they know what you can actually do, as opposed to all you did was copy your job description off of your last job and put it in bullet points. That's what most people do. And if you do that, I mean, it's okay, but your competition is big. And if you go the extra mile, and this is the extra mile, it's going to take you some time, but it's possible. Is it possible?
Yes, 100%.
100%. I love that. It's a great testimony. So we worked on his resume. Was it this week?
Yeah,
Yes.
2 days ago.
Yeah, so we had 2 sessions, and I basically told him most of what I'm going to tell y'all in here. And I mean, I'm excited about his resume. So I think everybody can have a good one, and I don't care where you've worked. Now, I need to know the 3 most outgoing, comfortable with yourself people in here. Christian, Andre.
I'm good.
What's your name?
Brianna.
Brianna, okay. So Christian, Andre, and Brianna? Yes? Huh?
Wendell.
Wendell. I'm so sorry. Oh my gosh. Awesome, and that is on video. Miss Langley cannot remember anything. Okay, so what I'm going to do is call Wendell, Christian, and see, I got to write this down.
Brianna.
Brianna, this is going to be a nightmare.
You remember my name?
Yeah, well, just helps when you work for me for a couple of years. While I'm writing down these names, so you can testify that I don't remember what time you worked for me until about, what, April maybe?
Yeah. Almost through the semester, and then it changes.
Okay. Wendell. Okay. So I'm going to call on you guys randomly to help me build some information up. So y'all ready to get started?
Yes.
Here we go. All right. Effective. Wish I had a little touch thing here. All right, so why a resume? This is obvious, not going to go over it, it's just to make the slides pretty. This is a snapshot of your achievements. We're not trying to get out on paper every single minuscule thing that you've done. What we're trying to get out there is transferable skills. So, have anybody heard that term, transferable skills, besides Dr. Williford? You want to call out to me kind of what that is?
For me, or skills that you use in different areas of work. So like in social work, we work on relating to other people, which can be good in a lot of fields.
Yes. Okay, so if you didn't hear that, she said skills that can be, I forgot how you were
It's mobile throughout different jobs.
So basically, if she got a skill working in social work, relating with other people, say she worked at, I don't know, the Junior Diabetes Foundation, and she worked closely with other people relating with them. If she can do that there, she can do that anywhere. So it doesn't matter if she's at the Juvenile Research Foundation, American Cancer Society, in her private practice, she's going to have an ability to relate to people, and the longer she does it, the more she'll build on that ability. So what we want to do is show the skills that transfer and spell it out for the employer how that's going to happen. You're going to tailor it for each job application, and that sounds really overwhelming, especially when you apply for 10 jobs at one time, which you should. If you're trying to get an internship and you want a good one and you want to actually get one, you're going to apply for more than one. You're not going to wait around for them to call. You've got to be proactive, and you've got to get multiple applications out there, and then not just let them sit on somebody's desk, because that's what they're going to do. You've got to follow up, and we'll cover that in actually networking at the boot camp, how to do that. So we want to set yourself apart, and what most resumes look like is, if I read this person's resume from when they worked as a cashier at McDonald's, and this person's resume when they worked as a cashier at McDonald's 5 years later, most likely I would read basically the same information, okay? Because they did basically the same task, but they're going to help me, if they do a great job setting themselves apart, tell me what their skills are that they gained out of that, okay? And that's where the work comes in. So this is where we're going to briefly go over the structure, and let me just cover what's in your packet real quick so you don't feel like you have to follow along. Building a great student profile is first, and then LinkedIn, how to write, just leave that open, how to write an invite. These two things are tools you're going to use later. Got a really basic resume template here, an overview of how to do it and what section should be in there. Then you've got a blank space. We're going to go over this in detail. Action words, we're also going to go over these. And then I've got a PowerPoint presentation here that is the PowerPoint you should never do, but it's got every single word that you would need to understand the PowerPoint right here. So if you need more information than this covers, this is kind of like 101 and we're in 201, okay? So if you need this building information, look at that later. Then this piece of paper. Who in here is a junior or a senior? Okay, so most of the room. Who's a sophomore? Awesome. And any freshmen? Okay. Every single one of y'all should be here. This is Career Boot Camp. We have it every year. Sophomores should be at this first session, Networking Essentials. We're bringing people in from the outside who it's basically their job to network. And so if anybody knows how to do it, these two ladies do, and they're going to not tell you that it's important, because everybody knows that already, right? Y'all know we have to network, right, to get a job, basically. You got to know somebody that knows somebody. You can do it without that, but I've had 7 jobs, I think, since I graduated from college, and only one out of those I got completely on my own, and it wasn't a good job either. Job I got here, networking, okay? So sophomores can come to the networking event. That's at 11 o'clock, so same time next week. Oh, y'all gonna be, sorry, 2 weeks from now, but you're gonna be in class. So never mind about that, it's gonna be videoed, so you can watch it. After that, juniors and seniors, the mix and mingle is going to be an hour where you apply the skills you just learned. So you're going to be introducing yourself to business leaders and community leaders from Jackson. They're going to be there just to meet you, just to let you practice shaking hands. Now, for you introverts, this might frighten you and make you want to crawl under your chair. I understand. We're going to be there to support you, and this is a protected environment. You don't have a job on the line. And if there's a time to practice, it's in a protected environment where there's not a job on the line. So if you're an extrovert and you're like, I can do this piece of cake, you know, I don't need to come to that, Not necessarily true. Extroverts don't tend to always think about what they're going to say before it comes out, and sometimes we overtalk, and we don't necessarily say the right information. So learning what words you actually need to say, how you need to say them, how you stick your hand out, these are things that really matter, okay? So no matter what your personality type, you need to come and practice. And then after that are mock interviews, and again, we've got businesses from the community coming in to tell you their opinion of your interview skills. So again, you don't have a job on the line, but they're going to say, hey, you know, you did really good at this, and if you ever do that again, you're not going to get the job. And so they're going to give you instant feedback, and then in about a week, we'll get some written feedback for you. And we'll try to get everybody 2 interviews, okay? So whatever you can do to make this happen for yourself, if you can talk to your teacher, especially the interview section of it, if you can talk to a teacher about, you know, missing class that day, or, you know, just do what you can. If you've already missed all your classes, that's not going to work for you. Okay, so, and that's how to register. You have to be registered a week from today, and that includes a resume, so it's good you're in here. Okay, so what goes on it? This is the basic structure. Like I said, I'm not going to spend long on this, but we want to cover your education, your work history, publications, if you're a writer, or, for example, I thought that was something on the screen. It's part of the picture. Okay. I've published a couple of things related to career development, and so I include those links on my resume so that if the employer wants to go look and see kind of how I think about these things, it's an option for them to do that. Awards and honors, professional affiliations, and references. Now y'all tell me, with education, does high school go on there? Say it out loud. No. No. Once you're admitted into college, we assume you went to high school or got a GED. And after you're in college, it does not matter. We don't care. Only every once in a while is it beneficial to put your high school on there, and that might be, for example, if you're a coach going back to your alma mater and you're trying to get a coaching position where you went to high school. It has to be directly related, but the employer just is going to assume that you've been to high school. Professional affiliations. Guys, this is the best time in your life to join a professional organization. Student memberships, they're probably 10 to 25% of a full membership cost. So where it might take $100 to get into, there's one organization I'm in with Career, a student can get in, I think it's $30. So, and that's for a year. And that allows you to go in and network basically with a bunch of adults that already have jobs and hear what is going on in the profession and kind of hear what is the cutting edge and start networking. And so it doesn't matter what, let's talk about a couple of majors. Are most of you psychology from Dr. Willifer's class? Psychology and social work? Okay, so I'm sure y'all have talked about organizations already to some extent. They're out there, look them up. What other majors do we have in here? We got communications, definitely organizations for you to join, music, business. Now with accounting, yes. Dr. Goldsmith does a good job of connecting you with those. Business is a little bit tricky. Now you can go with some of the leadership ones, like there's a leadership one on campus, but if you know kind of the area you want to go into, you know, like accounting is very specified, marketing is very specified. You can get a more specific, but if not, leadership is great. Any other different ones? International studies?
International studies, intercultural studies.
Graphic design. So I would ask my professor what professional organization they're a member of and start looking up what they do, what kind of their cause and purposes. Because I'm in two for my field. I'm in one that focuses on employment and one that focuses on personal development. Two completely different directions, but I deal with both. And the people in each one, I need both sets of people. And so you've got to read about what that organization can do for you, basically. Oh, and students get a lot of attention too, because there's not many in there. Oh, and it said references there on the bottom. And I want to make a brief comment on this, is references should not go on the resume unless the employer specifically asks for them in the application. And otherwise, I want you to make a separate page where the heading exactly matches your heading on the top of your resume, format everything the same, and then put your references on a separate sheet. So when you go into the interview and they ask you for your references, they get a beautiful piece of paper that matches your beautiful resume. Okay, so it can show you're put together and you're ready for that question, but wait until they ask. Okay, I'm going backwards. How'd that happen? I feel bad for the video people. Okay. So, you want to build your resume today. Isn't that pretty? Tip 1, keep it simple. Okay, make it easy to read. Y'all, some resumes that I've seen, it's like zigzagging all over the place trying to find what you're trying to tell me. It needs to look simple. About the only one in here that would have anything flamboyant on there might be graphic design. Yours is going to be special, different. I had one graphic designer that printed her resumes on sheets of 10. It was so cool. Business, accounting, please don't do that. Use bullet points. They're great to make things stand out. And if your bullet is here in one section, it should be here in the next section and the next section, okay? Not here, here, here. Okay, so that's what I'm talking about, zigzag. Leave white space. So don't make it so full trying to fit it on one page that it's just a page of black dots, okay? You need some white space to make it easy to read. Bold headings. And then this can be done using the same font, using bold, italics, caps, all caps. You can change it up. There's not a lot of rules on that. Don't use a font like this, though. It needs to be a very basic font like Times New Roman or Arial. Garamond is a good one. Okay. Tip 2, make connections. This is where we're going to spend the majority of our time, okay? Fill in the what for your employer. Fill in the what for your potential employer. Y'all are leaving me hanging. This is painful. Come on. Call it out. You get 5 cool points if you say the word. Y'all, come on.
Spaces.
Fill in the what?
Spaces.
Spaces, blanks. Spaces is so close.
You said blanks.
That does look like spaces. Blanks.
No, he said
Blanks.
blanks. No.
5 cool points, 5 cool points, 5, 5. Okay. All right, so you don't want to leave your employer thinking, what do they mean by that? You don't want to leave them thinking, what on earth does this have to do with the job we're hiring for? You've got to think of these questions as if you're them. Now, if you've had any experience with marketing, you understand writing for your audience or creating for your audience. It's very important, right, in PR that you're talking to the right audience. Same with a resume. Your resume has an audience, and it is the employer who is hiring for the specific job or internship that you want, okay? So don't expect them to know what you're talking about. You got to spell it out. Match your skills and accomplishments. Okay. To the job requirements. So, this is when we're going to get out a pen and piece of paper. And you guys aren't going to personally do yours right now. We're just going to do a practice one. But do open up your packet to this little checker writing your resume. Video, it looks something like this. You probably can't see it at all. I should have made a picture. Okay, we're going to go out of here and go into the full document. Okay. Wendell, where is somewhere you've worked before? Give me a couple of examples.
Six Flags, Kroger.
That's right. What did you do at Six Flags?
I worked in games.
In games, okay. And what did you do at Kroger?
I was a cashier and bagger.
Cashier and bagger. We're gonna do Kroger. Okay, so Kroger, uh-oh, that's not right. I need to make this bigger, don't I? Okay, I don't know how to do that, I'm sorry. It's blanked out. So, can y'all read that at all?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Kroger, cashier, bagger. Okay. Get those dates, but we're not too worried at the moment. Okay, Wendell. Now, guys, when y'all sit down and do this, don't do it in the student center or when your roommate's in the room with you. And do it when you're fresh. So find a fresh time of day where you naturally are able to come up with a lot of information, maybe the time of day you study or write a paper. So 3 o'clock in the morning for me. And, okay. Wendell, tell me some of the duties you performed.
Well, I scanned groceries.
Okay.
High bag groceries.
Ah, man. I knew I should have done Word. Okay.
I stocked shelves. I did everything.
How long did you work there? About
8 months.
About 8 months, okay. Okay, we're going to stop there right now. These two things I see on resumes all the time, and that's it. I call this the skin and bones. This is not a full person. This is the basics, okay? I'll have somebody put Kroger and the location and the dates, and then they'll tell me dot, bagged groceries, dot, stock shelves, and what was the other one? Dot, scanned groceries. So that's not very exciting, especially if it's your most recent job and that's the first thing they're going to see, okay? So what we're going to do, and this is not necessarily for Wendell alone, I want y'all to call out to where I can hear you what kind of skills or personality traits might be required to do this.
Organization skills.
Organization for stocking. Makes sense.
And bagging. Because you have to organize everything according
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
to what
Okay.
it is.
You have to be good with money.
Good with money. What makes somebody good with money? Who said that? Okay.
We have to think fast, but also make sure you can robot change and
Okay.
make sure you use the machine correctly.
So think fast, kind of on your feet.
Yeah.
You have to be good at communication.
Multitask.
Multitasking. Detail for, tell me why. I agree, but tell me which one you're talking about.
Scanning groceries to make sure that something didn't get scanned twice, or right item goes in the right bag, or
Working with coupons.
Ooh.
So the struggle with detail oriented.
Okay. Okay, so we've got some great ones there. Okay, when I get people to fill this out, usually greatest achievement. Did that one hang you up a little bit?
Yeah.
A little bit. Okay, so I'm going to tell you the story. I actually tell everybody this story, but so I had a student, she's graduated already, but she worked 4 years at McDonald's to put herself through school. She got up in the morning and worked the morning shift, went to class. Sometimes she would work the night shift. It depended, but she's actually a friend of mine. I've always said a student, but we were actually students together, and all her room was always smelling like French fries till we did the laundry, stale French fries. So anyway, greatest achievement for her. When we were talking about this later, I was like, what? Because I worked my way through college and work study, but I didn't really push hard like she did. I mean, she didn't have any loans at the end of her time, and some people can do that in college. But she said, well, you know, if I had to say one thing that I'll always remember, there was this elderly gentleman, he was a widower, and he came in every single morning at the same time, ordered the same thing, got his paper, sat down, and he'd sit there for about an hour until his other elderly gentleman friends came in, and they kind of hung out, and that was their morning hangout, was McDonald's. And what she did is, over time, she knew his order, she knew his name. When have you gone to McDonald's and someone knew your name? It's fairly rare, if ever.
At Chick-fil-A,
All the time.
Yeah.
Chick-fil-A, it's a whole
We know
different
like
establishment. So that stood out for her. And then on top of that, she even went out to their table and refilled their coffee for them. Took the money back to the cash register, more like a waitress, okay? And what I say to ask yourself when you are writing this question for each job, you do not have to have changed the world, okay? This doesn't have to be something that you share with everybody and you're like, I'm so amazing because I did this. This is, how did you change that little part of the world for the time you were in it? What did you do that might not have been accomplished if you hadn't been there? Okay, and sometimes it's hard to think of, sometimes you have to get creative. Answer the question the best you can, okay? If you dig deep, you can find something. Okay, so Wendell, what was your greatest achievement at Kroger as a bagger, stocker, cashier?
I was employee of the month one month.
Oh, yeah?
My first month on the job, I was employee. But I don't know. I knew everybody at Kroger. Like, I was everybody's friend. I talked to everybody, so I feel like I actually made a difference on people.
Okay, that's excellent. Anybody worked in retail or restaurant? Okay. Usually dramatic places. Chick-fil-A's not, I realize this. Y'all are like the exception to the rule. Okay, it still happens at Chick-fil-A. Most of the time, restaurant and retail are a little bit iffy when it comes to stress level and drama. Okay, so if you had a good attitude like Wendell did and kind of like got to know everybody and made people feel comfortable, y'all, that makes a huge difference. So realize that even an attitude can make a difference. Okay, so Wendell, what was your biggest work-related problem there? People, okay. Speaking to the choir, what about the people? The public or your coworkers?
The public, my coworkers were fine. Well, most of them. But
Which Kroger did you work at?
The one like right up the street from my house.
Okay.
But it was mostly the public people.
Okay.
They were just really rude. Like,
They can be rude, okay. How did you deal with that was a benefit to your employer?
I mean, it's a job, so I just always kept it professional, you know.
Okay.
Just
So you weren't rude back or reactionary, you stayed professional, even if they were rude? Okay. Customer's always right type of thing?
that was,
Okay. It was at the motto policy. At Starbucks, when I worked there, ours was just say yes. It was another form of the customer's always right.
We just had to give them whatever they wanted.
Give them what they want, yep. Okay, so stay professional.
Golden hour.
And in that 8 months, did you have an area of personal improvement?
I think I did. I deal with people way better than when I
Just-
started.
You deal with it better than you started.
Probably personal skills. Social skills.
Okay. All right. I think we have, let's do one more. We'll go a little bit faster. Brianna.
Hello.
Miss Giggly Chick-fil-A. What jobs have you had?
I've worked at Chick-fil-A, and then I work at the district office for the Assemblies of God in Byram.
Okay. We're going to use that one because it's a little different. And what do you do there?
I assist the district youth director.
Is that your title?
No, there's not really a
There's not a title.
Basically his assistant.
Okay. Has anybody watched The Office?
That's why I was just quitting.
Assistant to the youth director. Okay, sorry, I digress. Okay, so 3 main duties you perform.
Web design. Like secretary duties, I don't know. That can be a lot of different things. And then like organizational. I don't know.
Anything else? Do you ever work with youth?
Yeah, but that's not like with him directly.
Okay, tell me what you do with the youth.
With the youth? Well, I'm a youth leader at my church, but that's
Okay. I'm pulling that out for a reason.
okay.
Okay, so y'all feel free to help chime in, but Brianna, what are some skills and personality traits required to do this?
Detail oriented.
She said detail oriented.
Organized. Multitask.
Give me some personality.
You have to be outgoing, especially working with you.
How many people do you work with? Is it just him? Or is there a
Mainly.
team? It's mainly him? Okay. He demanding at all? No,
Like-
laid back?
He's laid back. Like I have the stuff that I have to do,
Mhm.
but it's like a sense of respect for him, like as my authority. But he's not scary or anything.
Okay. That's good. Tell me what your basic day looks like. Or basically.
web design. I majority do all of our websites for the district.
Okay.
So that's my main task.
Okay. Greatest achievement. Anybody else have any ideas of what some of this might take?
Good communication skills.
What was that? Ooh, that's a good one.
Leadership.
Sounds like you might need to be a little self-motivated.
Yes.
Okay. Self-starter or something. Okay. So go with those. All right. Greatest achievement. How long have you been there?
Only like 2 months.
Oh, wow. Okay. How have you changed the world in 2 months?
I think having him as my mentor has helped me like change individually to help like change others. Like having that mentorship with him, because I've known he used to be my youth pastor.
Okay.
And so like me growing up and having him like going into the different stages of my life and having him as a constant mentor, it's helped me like just have a respect and love the whole like mentorship, mentee, like, I don't know. Does that make sense?
Not exactly.
Not for greatest achievement. But since I've only been there for 2
Now,
months.
that could be a personal improvement that you've gained respect for the importance of mentorship.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say that's true?
Yeah.
Okay. And probably haven't come upon a big problem yet. Okay. Are you more, is he more organized now than 2 months ago?
I do the organization for him.
Okay. Did you help put some of that together?
Yeah, I guess.
Don't be shy.
I mean, he tells me what to do and I organize it for him and like build a system for him.
Okay. So she basically builds a system that works for her boss. Now, what we've just been through, you're going to do this with every job you've had, including things you haven't been paid for, as long as they've contributed to your skill sets. Okay, so if you have volunteered somewhere every single Christmas time for 5 years, that's probably changed you and developed your skill sets and your desires. So that's okay to put on there. You're not necessarily going to use every single thing on here, but the job when you do this is to get it out on paper. It's not to make it sound good, look good, it's just to get it out there. Some of the struggles that you might have heard Brianna having specifically is she was a little bit shy about the importance. I can say from somebody who's unorganized, we'll put it this way. Somebody who has to work really hard at organization. If I have somebody who's organized, aka Christian, who comes in every day and works with me, and I say, can you make this into something understandable for me? If I can give her the big picture and she can pull it into something a little more zoned in, she is gold to me because my mind doesn't naturally work that way and I have to use a lot of energy to do that. So you're going to struggle, just like her possibly when you're writing this down, to be bold and think that it matters, especially if you're dealing with a job that not average society doesn't look at as important. And it's very likely that's what you're going to be dealing with because we're like 20 to 22 about in here. Okay, most of us haven't had like our career epiphany, hopefully. If you have, you are supernatural in some way. So you're going to have to look into what is it that makes what I do. Why does this person spend money on me? Think of it that way. If they're spending money on you to pay you to do something, Why do we need baggers? Why do we need people to keep the shelf stocked? Well, because marketing shows if the shelves are, you know, all the stuff is facing forward and it's not disheveled and it's not shopped over, if it's attractive, different color combinations, that people are more likely to buy it than if when you go, say, in a clothing store and the racks are just really a mess. If it's easy and attractive, you're more likely to spend money, okay? And so there's a reason that Kroger pays people to keep the shelves straight, okay? So you matter. So now, how are y'all doing? I know this is a lot of information. Anybody have a question so far? Got to figure out how to get this done better. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take the bones and add the muscle to them. We're going to take the duties and make it you, okay? So when you start doing these bullet points, make absolutely sure you're finished brainstorming, because it's a lot harder to brainstorm once you start considering grammar, and it's hard to be creative when you're trying to be structured. It's good to separate those things, especially if you're not naturally creative. Okay, so what we're going to do is meld these two, and since I can't get it on the screen also, turn to your action words page. What I'll have you do on this, and just because I've been talking a long time, will you tell the group what I had you do on this?
So you go away, have a look through the words, and then highlight all the ones that are suited to you or that catch your attention. And then you're going to take, these words are basically, you're going to take them and then apply them to your resume just to sort of strengthen it. That's it, right?
That's it. Okay, so with these action words, let's just say you have a hard time getting started and you're like, oh my gosh, I've had one job. Or maybe all I've done is volunteer. That's okay. I want you to work on that if you're a junior or a senior. I want you to get a highlighter and say, okay, have I ever accomplished anything? If yes, highlight it. Have I ever achieved anything? If yes, highlight it. Acquired, acted, adapted, addressed, administered, and start going through, and I don't care how you administered or what you administered, I just want you to tell me if you did. This is going to get your brain going to start thinking of, for example, there's one created in the second line. If I start brainstorming on all the things that I created in the different work that I've done, I would come up with a lot of stuff. If you started thinking through what you've created in school or what you've created as being part of a club, you might have helped create a club. So take these words and let them start helping you build what you've done. Because sometimes when you get started, it's hard to think of anything but bag groceries, cashier. It's hard to think beyond what it felt like you were doing all day, right? Does that make sense? Okay, so I want you to highlight, and we're going to use this as we tailor Wendell's specific job, okay? And again, I'm not going to go over structure, but there is this example resume in here. Please don't use it, because then everybody from Belhaven has the same one. That look really bad. But this is an example of structure. Belhaven Career Network, which is on the website, it's free for you. You are already registered. You just have to sign in. There are 13 up-to-date resume templates on there that you can use. Up-to-date meaning latest research in the industry. It's going to look good, okay? So if you're at a loss for what you want to do, go there. Okay, so we're going to take that Wendell scanned groceries. And Wendell, tell me about your day as you go in and the manager puts your till in and you start doing your job. Just tell me about the day, and if you can, talk up loud enough so everybody can hear you.
So what do you mean by take about my day?
So once the manager puts your till in and your cash box is open and customers start coming through, tell me about what you're doing.
So I speak to them, ask them how their day's going. We have a conversation. I just scan groceries as we talk, and then I finish, and then I get the money from them, make sure they have the right amount of change, and go to the next person.
Excellent. Great. Okay, so he just told me a little story. It's not going to be the story that him and I eventually come up for an interview purpose, but he told me a great outline for his story. Every job has a story, and what we want to do is create that story in your resume. Okay, so as his duty of scanning groceries, let's find, and y'all just shout them out as you find them. Let's find an action word that kind of goes with that. Anything in his story.
Arranged groceries.
Arranged.
He acquired organizational skills.
Acquired.
Tabulated costs and change.
Ooh, it's tabulated in there? Oh my goodness.
Yeah. It's,
I see it.
Yep. Where's the bottom?
Anybody else? Okay, so let's see. Give me just a minute. I'll look through a couple here. Okay, this one might be a little far-fetched, but we're just brainstorming right here, okay? Stimulated the customer experience through offering pleasant conversation with proficient, help me with a word for ringing up or scanning, proficient checkout, perfect, okay. Okay, so what I did is I took scanned groceries, and I took here that he thinks fast on his feet, that he has good communication skills, okay? I took those two skills because if he thinks fast on his feet at Kroger, I thought fast on my feet at Starbucks. Working in a coffee shop is like, heart's beating really fast the whole time, except, you know, at 9 o'clock at night when people are just doing homework. And so you've got to think really fast on your feet. Y'all, that helped prepare me for what I do here, believe it or not. When I started here working in financial aid, and I had a mama on the phone that could not believe that that was all the money that her son got. Real, you know, true story here, over and over again. thinking quickly on my feet and being proficient at my job, handling a high level of stress, Starbucks helped me get ready for the level of stress that I dealt with in financial aid here. So if you can communicate that to an employer, and remember we said fill in the blanks for your employer, that blank that everybody got, or 4 people got 5 cool points for, filling in the blank and not just saying, why do I care that this man scanned groceries and checked people out? Because he knows how to stimulate the customer experience through offering pleasant conversation with proficient checkout. Now, that might be a little over the top, but does anybody have a thought on that? Wendell, what do you think?
It just sounds way better than that.
Would you rather have that on your resume?
Yes.
Okay, what do you want to do when you grow up?
I want to be orthodontist.
Orthodontist. Wow, okay. You're going to want to have a good bedside manner for all those nervous children getting braces on their teeth. So you having that pleasant disposition about yourself where you're able to get Employee of the Month your first month there because you just make the people feel comfortable. You're going to do the same thing in the orthodontic chair that you do there, that you did at Kroger. You're going to be better at it, but do you see that's transferable? Do y'all see that's transferable? Okay. So we're going to leave that. Like I said, it's not perfect, but let's find an action word for, let's go to stock shelves.
Coordinated.
Coordinated, that's excellent. Okay.
It's the second row, third one.
Okay. Anybody else?
Catalog.
Cataloged. Wendell, when you put information out, when you put groceries out, did you use a physical, like electronic scanner, or did you have to?
It was both sometimes, depending on what I was doing, like what I was talking.
Okay. What do they call those hand scanner things?
It's called the handheld.
A handheld,
It's
okay.
called the handheld.
Okay. Anybody else got something for stocking shelves?
Maintain.
Maintain, excellent. Okay, so we're not going to say he coordinated, and the reason is most likely there is a floor plan for where everything has to be, and he was told where to put things. Is that right? Okay, so in a resume you don't want to overstate, because one, if you didn't actually do that, you're going to get asked in an interview, and this is a great example of how you can overstate something. Okay, but he did maintain and he did catalog. Okay, we're going to use maintain. See, I keep backing up because I'm being redundant. I used offer there and I used it in the first one. Y'all are watching this come together. It's weird having an audience. Okay, detail in order to, good. Promote. something like that. So he's not just showing he's stocked a shelf, he's showing that he understands the importance that they were maintained, that he understands that it's detail-oriented, and that he understands there's a much bigger picture to it than just him, and that he's bored doing this over and over again. He understands that marketing is important, and that they're going to sell more if it looks good, and if it's out there, right? Because usually if a couple things are on the shelf, it's a lot less attractive than if it's completely full. And so what this shows, when I read a resume like this, is that I don't have a mindless applicant coming through the door. I have someone who sees the big picture and who knows the part that they play in it, and who has the ability to translate the part that they play in it. And that if they can do that at Kroger in what would sometimes feel like a menial task, and be willing to do that with a good attitude, then I can maybe trust them with this project that I have. Okay? Now we've gotten in a lot of detail, and it is 12 o'clock, and I haven't even gotten a LinkedIn. I want y'all to write on your card if y'all felt like this much detail was worth it in a workshop, because I haven't done this much before. This is kind of what I normally do in one-on-one. I'm going to give you a little bit of guidance. With LinkedIn, don't start it until your resume has good sentences like these. Because a LinkedIn profile with stock shelves, cashier, is just as boring as a resume, okay? It's just on a computer instead. So start by brainstorming, then do the proper writing, get it in context, and then all you do is upload your resume right into LinkedIn. And these are 10 tips that come from people who do LinkedIn marketing and from recruiters, what recruiters want to see. So this is excellent information. Build your profile. Do not make it public. Do not start inviting people to connect, which you probably already have, unless you have a proper profile, because that's your first electronic impression, and electronic impressions matter. They did not used to matter at all. They didn't used to exist at all. I had my first email account my sophomore year in college. Okay, so a lot of things have changed. Once you get all that done, this is how you appropriately ask somebody to connect to you on LinkedIn. Now in the fall, I did almost a whole hour on LinkedIn. If you really want this information, tell me more of what you want on that comment card. And we can also do a one-on-one session. I'm happy to sit down with any one person and help you understand why LinkedIn matters and how it can help you. I'm going to show you a quick video that will give you probably the best fast-paced information about how it works. Hit what?
Allow at the top. Otherwise that box will be there the whole time.
Oh, and it's muted too.
Watching this, chances are good you want to get a job. You want to go from student to rising star, and you want to avoid eating the same meal over and over and over again. Good news, you're in the right place. That's right, LinkedIn. It's not just for top executives, it's not just for old people with heavy briefcases. It's for you, and it's the perfect place for you to start your professional story. Say you want to get a job in New York City. You've never been there before, but that's okay because you have LinkedIn on your side. You start by creating your profile. You give it love because you know it's what recruiters are looking for day and night. It's your resume that never sleeps. It's your flashing neon sign that says, hire me, for the love of all that is good in this world, hire me. Then you start making connections. Alumni working in New York? Yes. Recruiters at top companies in New York? Yes. Your mom's best friend? Yes. You start imagining whose shoes you want to walk in. You think, wow, this is a lot of deep stuff to consider. You shake yourself out of it and start searching for jobs. Whoa, that's a lot of jobs for students. Time to get down to business. You start to tailor your profile. You start applying. You feel empowered. You control. Like you should be CEO. That gives you an idea. You look up all the CEOs of all the companies you want to work at. You see one of them went to your university. Then it hits you. You see a clear path from campus to career. You feel like you can see the future. You wonder if you're psychic. Should you start a hotline? No, back to plan A. You keep tailoring and connecting and applying, and before you know it, you start getting responses. First a few, then more, then an interview, and then you're hired. And that's when the real learning begins.
Okay, so take that information. It showed a basic path of what LinkedIn can do, and y'all, it works. I've met people all over the country, and actually a couple from other countries that I never would have met if it weren't for LinkedIn, because I'm not going to be going to these places all the time. If there are alumni working at a company you want to work at, if there are, like it said, your mom's friend, if your mom, it's like Facebook. If a friend of a friend, if you're connected to a friend of a friend, you can get to that friend, okay? And there are specific ways to reach out. Use that, how to invite somebody to basically be your friend. But this, keep in mind, is extremely different than Facebook. Same concepts, but this is professional. Do not put your Facebook picture on here, okay? And it talks about the kind of picture you want to have in that packet. If you want to learn more about this, let me know. We can either do one-on-one or we'll have another workshop eventually. But thank y'all so much. I really appreciate it. Any final questions?